Hey guys, welcome into another episode of From the Wing. I am Christian Clark, the Pelicans beat writer for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about this Pelicans roster and where it stacks up in the Western Conference. Can this truly be Zion Williamson's team if Brandon Ingram is still a Pelican? And the Olympics, which Pelican is most likely to play for Team USA in 2028 in LA? We've got a special guest joining us today, Jono Barnes, a New Orleans sports content creator, a former Pelicans ball boy, and someone who's going to have their own drink at Blue Oak Barbecue. Jono, can you give us some insight on what's going to be in the This Shit More Than Drink cocktail?
Oh, yeah, no, I would give you guys an exclusive. I mean, Christian Clark, you already come with the exclusive and the sources all the time. So here's an exclusive source for you. It will be a strawberry mango alcoholic frozen drink at Blue Oak Barbecue. Debuting on August 25th, and we're going to have a nice little soft launch party. I'll be there. If you guys want to come, anybody who's watching this show, please come. We'll be watching the Saints-Titans preseason game, so you can see our future, according to Saints fan Spencer Rattler. Get you a drink, some good barbecue. It's going to be a darn good time.
How many of those do you have to drink to talk yourself into the Saints offense?
It's probably 283.
281 of those are specifically for Trevor Penning.
He might be 283 just by himself.
Jono, I mean, I consume a lot of your Saints content. I didn't know until recently, like you had this history with the NBA team here. I was just wondering, like, right off the top, for people who might not know, like, you know, how far back does it go? Just like tell me about the history of you with the team and your fandom, and just where do you think this team like is right now?
Yeah, so you said that I'm a former Pelicans ball boy. I say I'm a former Hornets and Pelicans ball boy, because I was a ball boy during the Hornets era too. My first year was 2008, and I went all the way to 2020. So about 13 calendar years, I was with the team, which means me and Christian, I believe we just missed each other, right, Christian? We maybe saw each other a little bit towards my final days, but 13 years as a ball boy, greatest opportunity of my life. The real diehard Pelicans fans know Big Shot, because he is the longest tenured employee of that franchise. I'm talking about everybody from ownership all the way down. He is the longest tenured employee. It worked out. God is real. If people don't believe God is real, I'm gonna tell you why God is real. It's because I was a diehard Hornets fan even before then. That's just a middle school, high school, college kid. What kid would not dream of getting to be in the locker room of your favorite team and seeing all the biggest NBA stars of all time? Where my best friend a year before had a connection of another ball boy, and he got to be a ball boy. So for that whole year, and this is the year that we went to the second round against the Spurs, I'm begging him, like, after every game, you got to get me on 1 year. You got to get me on 1 year. Please, please, please get me on. Well, it was right before the Saints played the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football in 2008. And Big Shot calls me. I didn't even recognize the number. So I'm like, who was calling me before the Saints game? I'm trying to get into my, this shit more than the game mode. And he's like, hey, it says Jono. I said, yeah. He said, this is Big Shot. My heart just dropped. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And he offered me the position right before the Saints broke our hearts against the Minnesota Vikings that night. But since that moment, I was a Hornets to the Pelicans ball boy for 13 years. Greatest 13 years of my life. Met every NBA player you can think of. Got to become like, you go from a fan. I have Chris Paul pajamas, and now I'm friends with Chris Paul. I got to be friends with Anthony Davis and go hang out with him, his clubs and houses and all that. I got to be friends for a little bit. I mean, Zion was my last year before I say I'm getting a little too old for this, but with all of the stars of the Hornets and Pelicans history, and I got to, for essentially 13 years, have front row tickets, and I mean literally on the court is where my butt sat at. So now when I go to a game these days, I could be in the front row, and that would be a downgrade to me, because I'm used to sitting on the actual court, whether on the visiting side or with the Pelican side. For 13 years, it was a dream come true. I don't know if I stunned about it enough, to be honest, but I'm just honored and humbled, and Big Shot has all my lifelong adoration.
I mean, Big Shot is the best. I didn't realize it went that far back, and like to what you just said, like the absolute best part of this job is just getting to go to the games. Like going to the games is so much freaking fun. It's the best, like there's just nothing like that feeling in the building when a game really matters.
Exactly. Sadly, we didn't have a lot of them. We're not obviously a storied franchise. And you do something so many times that honestly it does at some point become like habit and a job. And I would need to smack myself sometimes. Like you would see a kid in the front row, like bawling his eyes out or just like in the happiest day of his life because he got to catch a pass from Brandon Ingram or he got to shake hands with Anthony Davis. And that would remind me like, Jono, like, why are you complaining about doing this game tonight? Like, you got the greatest job in the world. Cherish it. And I think I did a pretty good job cherishing it for 13 years. I really had dreams of one day being in that locker room while we won a championship. I never got to have that moment, but I'm still grateful for the experience.
I sat courtside one time, and it was the coolest game I've ever gone to. It was that like triple overtime game after Boogie Cousins came here against Chicago, where Mirotic actually like trucked Jameer Nelson in the game, and then they got traded for each other like a few weeks later. So I was at that one, but that now I feel like a peasant because that's apparently nothing to being on the court for years and years and years.
And the cool thing about being a ball boy is essentially the players are entrusting you. So like they don't view you as a fan, they don't view you as they view you as like a confidant. Like I will take some of the stories I have of my 13 years to the grave because of that trust that I built in the players. And you get to see, I mean, honestly, like if you ever looking for a source, the ball boy might be your best bet. I know there's always people making jokes, even Kendrick Lamar dissed Drake by using you a ball boy, go fetch a getaway. When the ball boys be having the stories, now the ball boys be having the scoops, man. The ball boys see things that, even the most in-tune reporter or the in-tune source would see. So I got to see some things that was like, oh boy, if I wanted to be the next Wojnarowski, I could really just tweet something and I could get some clout. But I mean, obviously I would never broker that trust that the franchise, that big shot and the players put in me. But you mentioned a trade. Like I was in the locker room when the Tyson Chandler trade was rescinded and Jeff Bauer had to come into the locker room and announce it to the team. And almost like, old man wagged his finger saying, we still got to get our rebounds up and whatnot. And I remember just being like, what am I doing? Like, why? I can't believe I'm actually like experiencing this moment right now. It was an experience. It was a hell of an experience.
Oh my God. Favorite? Do you have a favorite Hornet or Pelican?
That's hard. I was real close with David West. I love that guy. He is somebody who, if he really wanted to, could have his second career right now, like as a podcast guy or something. I've been begging him to come on my show, but he's obviously kind of been behind the curtains a little bit since he's retired. But he was great. AD was great, and this is where Pelicans Twitter might get mad because, like, I still defend AD on Twitter to the Pelicans Twitter to this day, and he's like obviously the antichrist to Pelicans fans since the whole trade thing. But
what is great? What does great mean? How is he great? And what
friendly, like you get to know these guys from a personable level, so you don't just know them from the business side or from a player standpoint. But like he invited us and other ball boys to his house, like he let us come to the VIP section of the club. You got to live. I'm a ball boy, right? I'm a nobody, and I'm in the VIP with these other NBA players, seeing what that NBA player lifestyle is like. Like Jono Barnes should not be in VIP with Anthony Davis at the peak of his prowess, seeing what an NBA lifestyle is, like that stuff like that. Say, man, come to the house. Yeah, we could chill, watch the game or whatever. Joke. He's a Packers fan, so he will always joke with me and my brother about the Packers and the Saints and Aaron Rodgers is better than Drew Brees, things like that. Just a good guy, right? That's the Anthony Davis I see when I see Pelicans fans make fun of him because he's getting hurt or whatever. And I'm like, this is kind of getting karma on outside for the Zion injuries if y'all keep making fun of AD. But Chris was cool. Like all of these guys, I've maybe had one player I had a bad experience with. Not even a bad experience, but Pat Bev. And Pat Bev is Pat Bev. Like he's just always in his Pat Bev mode. So I think I gave him the wrong Gatorade or something. He typical Pat Bev mode, and I'm like, dude, chill out. But every player, like they know the ball boys are there to help them. So they treat you like best friends. And I'm sounding redundant, but it was a hell of an experience. For my short time, I got to know Zion. Zion was cool, and I was feeling real bad because I was like, man, I'm leaving where I think that Zion's going to be the guy who brings us to the next stratosphere. That hasn't happened yet, of course, but that's what I was conflicted with. And he was just real. I mean, he's a kid too. Like at this point, I'm older than Zion and like the Lonzo and BI, and I'm like, geez, I'm the elder. But great guys. That's why for all the jokes I make on Twitter and my social media content, you'll never see me like go personal with any of the players because I have so much respect for what they do and so much love and adoration for how they welcomed me when I was a ball boy for the 13 years I was.
AD, Zion, they both seem like genuinely nice people to me. I didn't know AD. Like Zion is he's always been a nice guy. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
he's had stuff he's definitely had to work on and like like he seems like a genuinely nice guy. Like there's not been one person who's like, this guy's a jerk, you know, that I've
Right.
come across. And AD seemed like that too. I mean,
You see,
when it went wrong with him, it just seemed like, you know, he was listening to certain people. He's a guy who he didn't want to make the hard decisions by himself. Sometimes he's like, I'm just
exactly.
gonna listen to Clutch and follow
And
this playbook. And I don't
right.
even think he realized like all that was going to come with that.
And there's so much like I don't know if politics is the word, but like you see the behind the scenes stuff with these guys. And AD was the one player that I was with from beginning to end. Like Chris Paul came in his mid career with the Hornets era. Zion, I was there for his rookie year, and then I left, so I didn't get to see the following years. But AD, I was there from his rookie year to when he asked for the trade. So you see like him come in to the league as a kid, not really realizing like this kid has the world in the palm of his hands. He definitely has the city of New Orleans in the palm of his hands. And you just kind of watch that growth year in and year out. And you see firsthand, like, man, this is a kid who's 18 years old, like, and we are putting the whole city's trust and love and pressure on him. And I can imagine what I would have did at 18 years old to 25 to 26 years old with that pressure and with all that comes with being an NBA player. So good guy. Pelicans Twitter, stop being so mean about him. It's over. It happened.
One day we'll get over it. One day. I don't know.
Yeah, you
when
Adam,
we'll
talking
get
about
over it.
you.
Hey, I don't even talk about him. I think honestly, if we want to get a little unpopular, I think the everybody in the world's thank New Orleans before AD joke is probably the most played out thing I've ever seen. I'm just saying.
We getting
that could die tomorrow.
Don't let Ross Jackson see this. Don't let Ross Jackson see this.
I mean, that's not a shot at Ross in any way, shape, or form. It's that specific. That and the what's the other one everybody does? X person can do the funniest thing. I just struggle when stuff gets like used over and over and over. Like we get it. It happened already.
Like this shit more than a game?
No, that's completely new. It's completely new.
I feel like the best revenge, if you're a person who wants to get revenge on AD, is just finish ahead of them in the standings like every year. Yeah. Like just be better than the Lakers and the Pelicans. You know, they have in some of these years, the 5 seasons he's been in LA, but it's like the best success is just stunting on your ex. I found in life, you know, it's not like wishing them to fail. It's just like, hey, we're not together anymore and look how good I'm doing.
Yeah. You don't even acknowledge it. You just keep on going. You just keep on going, do your own thing. And you just know that they're watching. This isn't coming from any personal place whatsoever.
We should tell the front office of the Pelicans that because we've been waiting for that for 5 years now, huh?
Well, look, I can't tell just like from your social media and like the content I consume, you seem mixed on like the current state of the Pelicans. And
go ahead.
No, I understand mixed. It's like they are coming off the season where it was like a pretty successful regular season by Pelican standards, and then the playoffs could not have been more disappointing, and obviously injuries were a big part of that. But like, where are you just at on? Let's just assume that this team they have now, this roster they have now, is the one that they're going to roll out on opening night. Like, where are you just at on them right now?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned about my social media because I kind of tote a fine line on social media with being Jono Barnes, the character. And when I mean character, man, I mean I just like I exemplify. I don't know if that's the word. I exaggerate. That's the word. Exaggerate this shit more than the game Monica times 10, and where I'm actually being like serious with my analysis. I told a fine line between that, and I guess that kind of gives me a cop out. So whenever somebody wants to call me out on a take, I can be, oh, that's when I was just being, silly old Jono, right? Because I'm feel like entrenched in his brand of, oh, he's the silly guy who makes content about the Pelicans and the Saints and whatnot. I'm also, because of my history with the Pelicans, I have admitted it many times, I'm a lot more delicate and not as harsh to them on social media as I am on the Saints. Like, I mean, I know it's the same organization, but I don't have that much history with the Saints as far as personal connections, where on game day I can say, Derek Carr, what are you doing? Gail, get this team together. Like, Mickey Loomis, you're throwing away years of fandom with these wasted years with Dennis Allen. With the Pelicans, I'm always a little bit, if you notice, like just a little bit more softer with my critique when I do critique them. As far as this upcoming season, all I asked for when the season ended, when we got swept by Oklahoma City Thunder, I say we cannot do the same old song and dance where we want to see how the team looks when we're healthy. Once again, Zion didn't play in the playoffs, so let's just run it back again And this is going to be the year that Zion plays, and we'll see how Zion, BI, and the crew look together. I was very happy that we did something, which that's something being the DeJounte Murray trade. Because David Griffin made that move, they get my love. I'm not going to say I'm going to like act like they're perfect all season or everything like that, but like they did something. Like that's what we as fans ask for. I feel like as a fan, if anything, I'm fair. Like if I wanted something and you guys deliver on that, I can't be mad now if the DeJounte Murray trade does not work out. You know, like, and you know, obviously if this worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, fans are going to be like, DG, how could you or whatever. And I'm like, well, we asked for DG to make a move like that. When we traded for DeJounte Murray, I was extremely excited. And then I was even more excited when I saw that we got to keep Brandon Ingram. And I was like, well, this opens up so many possibilities. Not one of those possibilities in my mind was him actually being on a team on opening night. I was like, I mean, we got to trade him, right? Like this opens up so much roster construction things that we can do. And it seems like the tea leaves are saying that BI is going to be on the team on opening night. I like donuts. I like hamburgers. I like cookies and cream ice cream. I don't like donuts, hamburgers, and cookies and cream ice cream all in one. Some things are better separate. I don't know if Zion, BI, and DeJounte Murray together is going to be. I think for the regular season, guys, it can be fun and it can get us enough wins to at least be at minimum the playing team, right? But I don't see any long-term success with that. I think that if BI is still on a team throughout the whole season, if we say we're just going to ride it out and we'll see what the offseason brings, I think at our peak, we could be, and this is if everything goes right, Zion stays healthy, everything goes great, a second-round team, which at this point, when we're not at the Celtics, we're not the Lakers, we're not the Nuggets, like the second round for us will probably erect Willie Green a statue in New Orleans. I think the floor would probably be or should be, again, the same as last year. Like we make the play in. Hopefully we win a game or two to get to the 7 or 8 seed, and then we'll see what happens. It would have to be catastrophic for us to not even make the play in. I think that we are going to be a playoff team no matter what. I just think our ceiling would probably be second round, and that would be, again, best case scenario. Like Zion finally plays in April and May. He goes ham. You know, we have fun. As a fan, that's all you can ask for, right? Especially for our franchise. We have fun. It works out. I just don't think long-term, though, that BI, Zion, and DeJounte Murray is a big three that you can hope to win the championship with. I hope I'm wrong. Like, I love BI, but I think that if there is an offer at some point that comes on David Griffin's table that is worth him taking, BI as a person I love, but this is a business, and if he's probably the best asset we have right now to try to take this team to the next level. So I would trade BI if a trade offer comes that is worthy of it. But if we don't, second round is probably our best case scenario. But I don't see any like championship window with these three as the big three.
That word "worthy" has been changing for me for about a month now. The thing that I thought was worthy of a BI trade a month ago is very different from today.
Yes.
I am very, 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 very concerned about the starting center and not having one.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I think, you know,
I think they have one. I think his name's Daniel Tice.
I don't want to hear that, Christian. Look, he looked great again in international ball. Like he looks great playing for Germany. So that's fine. But like I said this about Larry when we traded for Larry, like I know a 20-minute guy when I see it, and don't tell me that he needs to play more than 20 minutes. Cause I could tell you where that's going to lead.
Well, could he be the starter and play 20 minutes?
No, no, that on a Willie Green team. Willie Green team,
yeah, really.
I think they're gonna. I think what they're talking about right now, and I mean sometimes what they talk about, what they actually do are different. But they're talking about we're gonna play a bunch of small ball this year.
Okay, that's sure because you have to. Like, what other option do you have? That doesn't mean it's a good plan.
I think again for the regular season, you could probably get by for 60% of the regular season, maybe 70%, right? Because you know teams go through injuries, they go through the motions on some days. Like you could probably get by. And maybe I shouldn't, because again, like we haven't made the second round since what was it, 2014 or whatever. So I'm like, okay, long term though, like, okay, say we do get 50, 55 wins and get to the playoffs. Does a Zion, BI, and Murray trio, along with not having a designated center, does that work in the playoffs? I don't see it. Shit, I mean, I just want Zion to make the playoffs at this point, to be honest. I have some concerns about that.
Me
I feel
too.
like that,
Me too.
I love Zion, but I feel like that's the pink elephant in the room that a lot of Pelicans fans don't want to address, because as great as Zion was last year, and I'm glad that he finally had a season where he played over 65 games, at the end of the day, our first quote-unquote postseason game, his body gave out. So now I'm like, well, geez, if his body gave out in his first taste of postseason basketball, can I trust this guy? Not much less for 4 playoff series, best case scenario for 1 playoff series. So that's kind of the pink elephant in the room that I see, but I'm like everybody else. I don't want to address it, but I know it's there.
Pelicans have been in the play-in tournament all 3 years of Willie Green's time with the team. When I look at them right now, I'm like, look, the goal should be finishing top 6 this year. Just get out of the play-in tournament, not have to worry about it. Try to contend for like home court advantage in the first round. Then when I go through the West teams, I'm like, Oklahoma City, I mean, definitely top 4. Denver, I know they've like lost key players 2 years in a row, probably top 4. They have Jokic. Minnesota, they're not going anywhere. Dallas, they just made the finals. Phoenix, they actually got a freaking point guard, and their payroll is $800 million when I checked on Spot Track last. That's 5 right there.
Right.
What do you do with Memphis? I mean, John Morant played 9 games last year. 2 of them were against the Pelicans.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies beat the Pelicans in both those games.
Yeah.
So, like, I like a lot of players on this Pelicans team. I'm like, yeah, Herbert Trayer, a year older. Like, Zion showed me something last year, and I think he's mature. And Brandon, like, there's no way he could be as bad as he was at the end of last year. Like, I'm like, yeah, they got this and this and this and this, but I'm also just like, oh, God, are they going to be in the play-in tournament for a 4th straight year?
It's one of those things that, and I've used this against Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. Like, I've seen enough data. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. But yeah, with the Pelicans, because I'm admittedly more delicate with them, I'm like, I know I've seen the data of what the Zion and BI era is, but I'm still, that fan in me is hopeful. Like, oh, Zion is going to finally take his game, because we know that Zion at his peak could do some special things. So I'm like, this is the year that we have him in April. We have him in May. He takes his game to another level, and we ascend as a team and as a franchise. It all starts and ends with Zion. Like, to talk about the BI fit with Murray and all the depth and all that, that's fine and dandy, but this is a superstar league. We need Zion in April. We need Zion in May. If we have him, I have hope of what the flashes of potential he's shown, that he can elevate us, that shoot, maybe we could jump ahead of Memphis or even the Dallas. I mean, I know that sounds ludicrous because Dallas just made it, but like, sometimes it takes a player just showing that I'm that guy, and you go on a special run. And as long as we have Zion, I believe that we can do it, but he has to show me. And all of the data shows me right now that he can't. But as a fan, I'm going to keep believing in the guy that he can.
I guess the way I'm thinking about this Pelicans team is, I mean, unless Zion just becomes like a top 5 guy this year, in which, it could happen. Like, he is really that talented. I feel like the ceiling is pretty low, just because of the way the ceiling, like, to win a championship, it's just not there, right? Like, it's below that clearly, I think. But I also think the floor is pretty high. And I think the DeJounte Murray thing raises the floor. Like, he's a guy who is just a proven really good guard in this league, like all-star guy before the Atlanta trade when he was sharing a backcourt with Trae Young. I feel like he raises the floor. Like, when I'm penciling in the depth chart right now, I've got CJ McCollum and Trey Murphy coming off the bench. And that is a different bench, much different bench than last year, which was an excellent bench. And it was all these defensive-minded, tough guys around the scores. But, like, those are 2 really good players coming off your bench. And it's like, if somebody goes down, you can just plug them right into the starting lineup. Like, I think while the ceiling is clearly not like championship caliber team is currently constructed, I think the floor is also really high with this team.
You also got stylistically, like, we finally will see like what Willie wants to run. And I think, like, honestly, like, defense is going to get a little better. I think we're going to be a little more pliable in some of those switching 5 situations. So, like, there's definitely some stuff to look at. Like, I could put on some rose colored glasses and say, Dallas made a trade. I talk about this all the time. People get really hyped about trades that go well, and those trades are often very short term. Those Dallas trades last year were not something that was going to make them like this multi-year contender. Right. They had a really, really bad front court problem. They made a great trade to solve the front court problem. Are you betting on that front court to be that good again? Are we saying Daniel Gafford? Like, this is Daniel Gafford guy here. Or am I saying Daniel Gafford's going to help him that much again? I don't know. So I think there's, I'm not signing Dallas up for top 3. I'm certainly not penciling Phoenix into guaranteed top 6. I don't know what's going to happen over there. Tyus Jones, obviously an incredible get for them, but the center stuff over there, the big man stuff over there, the defense over there is still really bad. So yeah, there's some hope. I'm just really, really curious what a starting 5 is going to look like on the floor, what the center rotation is going to look like. Do we have like some just awful stuck ball-itis or which, actually that sounds pretty nasty, like summers in Louisiana, but yeah, I just don't know what it's going to look like. But yeah, you're right. The floor can be high. Like maybe BI is finally forced into a place where he plays the way that everybody says they need him to play.
What was that condition?
He's not going to
you
have the
said?
ball a lot. Wait,
What was that condition? What was that medical condition you just described?
I called it stuck ball-itis.
Yeah,
That sounds painful.
it sounds like
terrible.
you should see a doctor about that.
Dude. Actually,
Look,
doctor,
Louisiana summers are hard.
Do you guys actually think CJ is going to be okay with coming off the bench? I don't. I'm not saying that in like to try to disregard his character or anything like that. I just feel like he's going to be like, hold on, like I'm been Mr. Dependable since I've been to this franchise. I still have maybe 2 years of peak basketball. You don't put me on the bench at this stage of my career. I'm the leader of the group. I need to be in that starting lineup for us to have our most success. I'm not saying he's going to like scream and pout about it, but I don't think he's going to do it willy-nilly and just be like, oh yeah, sure, okay, what's best for the team. I feel like he's going to kind of say, okay, hold on, Willie, let's go to the side, David. We need to have a talk. Like, y'all going to have to really sell me on coming off the bench. I'm not just going to sign off on it and say thumbs up to it.
Well, look, that's a great question. I mean, DeJounte Murray, obviously a lock to be a starter. Brandon Ingram, lock to be a starter. Zion Williamson, lock to be a starter. I don't believe that they're comfortable just starting Zion at the 5 from the opening tip. So, like, I think Daniel Tice is going to be in there as a starter. That leaves one spot for CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, and Trey Murphy. This is a Willie Green coach team. You know who I think? I guess I could see him putting CJ in there because he's like, look, we need shooting. Willie really trusts CJ. DeJounte's big enough, I guess, where you could talk yourself into covering for him defensively. But also, you know who Willie Green's favorite player on the team is? It's Herb Jones.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
And I don't think
who just got first team all NBA or all defense. So
like, if you ask me one player who I feel like is the foundational player of the team for the next 5 to 7 years, I'm going to say Herb Jones. So I don't want to put Herb on the bench either. Maybe it's a good problem to have, right? I just don't. I feel like CJ. I mean, shoot, I want to start Trey over CJ, to be honest. I feel like at this point we got to see if Trey is that guy or not. Like, personally, I'm okay with CJ being on the bench. I just don't think CJ is going to be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll go on the bench. I see your argument, Christian.
No, I could see it going both ways. He definitely is like a prideful guy. Like, he definitely could be like, look, I made the 3rd most 3-pointers in the NBA out of all players last year per game. But also he is a really good team guy. I don't know. He's 32 going on 33, I think. I mean, it might be that time. Like the next act of his career too. Yeah. Maybe he never plays for another team that's not the Pelicans, but like the next act of his career eventually is probably going to be like bench player on a really good team, right?
This is why I've advocated for like the reality of how I think this might play out is like the first 10 games is okay, if you think you're the starter, go prove it to me.
Yep.
And then they show him the stats and the tape and you're like, okay, everybody agrees this is what we're going to do. And maybe there's like convenient posturing and media stuff around that about how great he is. And then you celebrate him or he may just start on the bench out the gate. But I've wondered about like the 5 to 10 game trial period of like, just put the most today talented 5 out there, and when it doesn't work, show them that it doesn't work and change it to what it needs to be.
Well, it's kind of funny you say that because when they traded for CJ McCollum, they had Devontae Graham in there at the starting 1, and that was kind of what they did with Devontae. They love Devontae, like they knew when they made the CJ trade, they were like, hey, we're going to have to move Devontae to the bench because we just can't have 2 guards that small out there at the same time. But there was a trial period of CJ and Devontae together before Devontae initially got shifted to the bench. So if that is the case, it's almost just like you know, it's like history repeating itself a little bit with like, you know, very different players, different caliber of players.
Yeah, big time. I agree. Devontae, CJ, but I do agree with Adam. I do envision, I think it's going to be the first 10 games is when we're going to have the trial period of whatever the lineup is. And then at the 10 games, Willie and the front office is going to say, okay, this 10 games showed us that the lineup we presented is the one we're going to roll with, or if we're going to say, okay, now we got to make some tough decisions and you got to go to the bench. You're coming to the starting lineup. That's fun. Analytics and data aside, the Murray trade finally gave the Pelicans franchise something fun, and that's what, as a fan, you know, right now this show, y'all ever seen a dragon meme with the two serious dragons and then they have like the goofy one? That's the show right now. I'm the goofy one, right? Like I'm not an analyst by any stretch of the imagination. I proudly wear my fan hat before I ever. You know, people sometimes call me media, and I'm like, no, I am not media. I am a fan. I'm proud to be a fan. I'm kind of ushering in what fanaticism and fandom can look like in 2024 and beyond, but I am a fan. Sometimes I just want fun. The last 2 years for the Pelicans, it was cool, but it wasn't fun. It really, I kept tweeting this last year. I said it was the most unique season because we had a good season on paper. Like, it was a good season, but we never had like that fun moment where it just felt like the city was like, this team is ours. We're loving this Pelicans running right now. That Murray trade was the most fun as a fan for those hours when we traded for him that we've had in a long time. And I'm like, finally, we have something fun to talk about and fun to look forward to besides, oh, look, Zion looks real slim this offseason. Oh, look, Zion has a beard. That's what they were going with, the fans this year. Zion has a beard. I'm like, oh, and you know, it's fun, right? Like, it's city talk. But I'm like, if that's what we got to look forward to every damn offseason, then come on, Pelicans. And so that's why I'm going to be a little bit even more dedicated on David Griffin in the front office, because I'm like, finally, y'all made a move that gives us some unique situations to talk about like this. Like, okay, who's going to be the starter? Who's coming off the bench? Who do we trade? But we just have fun now. Like, there's something fun to look forward to. So thank you, Pelicans, for finally giving us something to talk about. Because if y'all didn't trade for Murray, right now we will be talking about is Zion's build issuing a new era of the Zion Williamson basketball.
Will he cut it off? Is he Jaylen Brown's lost brother? Is he... Like, so many questions. You know, we're due. You say that. We're very due. Somebody, Pelicans fans, get out there and get me a new candid pic of Zion walking somewhere so I can just get like an update on the Zion photos and just make sure he's still killing it out there. We're about due.
So you said unique. I think what is like a unique quality of DeJounte Murray, what he brings to this team is just his energy. The Pelicans don't have a player with that type of energy. And I mean this in a good way, like vaguely a-hole energy. You know, he definitely has that. Like that. He's shown himself like working out and he's like, I wish the season started tomorrow on his Instagram stories. And, you know, he's like, Zion obviously respects him. Like, he went to his introductory press conference, which honestly for me was eye-opening. I was like, Zion in the middle of the summer showing up to these things, like that said something to me of like, all right, he thinks DeJounte is like a guy. But I just feel like they need somebody to kind of be the jerk. And man, this might sound like a little bit arrogant, but I almost feel like I've like had to be the jerk sometimes for this team, you know? And it's like, you guys need like a player in the locker room to be the jerk, you know, to just like say this stuff of like, this is like unacceptable. It has to be done this way. Like, do you know what I'm saying though? Like,
no, I feel like want to elaborate. How are you the jerk of the team?
Well,
come on. You can't have Mr. This shit wasn't a game on and not elaborate on that. I'm the jerk of the same. I feel like
I'll just say this. I feel like last season in the in-season tournament, it needed to be harshly said that it was unacceptable that Zion was a player, a professional athlete making $30 million a year, who just year in and year out was not showing up in shape, and it needed to change. And I think, you know, like guys who are Hall of Famers said that, and that probably meant a lot more, like Charles Barkley and Shaq. And I think that meant something. But like, my point is, like the 27-18 team that made the second round, they had a Rondo, right? Rondo's kind of like a jerk, right? Like they need somebody with that energy who's just like, you guys, like, this is just what it is. Like, it's just what it is.
I know that. I'm glad you elaborated, because I like that about you, Christian. And I'm just saying this because I'm on your show. Like, when players get mad at you or whatever, especially when the fans get mad at you, I'm happily on Twitter sticking up for you, because I'm like, what do y'all want from media? Like, do y'all want them to be another avenue of PR for the team, or do y'all want actual journalism? And I appreciate a lot about Christian is that he's not going to sugarcoat it. Maybe I don't always agree with Christian's opinions on certain things, but at least he's going to be straightforward and he holds the team's feet to the fire on things that maybe other media. I'm not trying to cut out any other media, but I'm saying like sometimes you do need that media personnel who says, what are we doing, Pelicans? Like, look where we are at as a franchise. Like, can y'all look in the mirror and see like how you guys come across, not in your New Orleans bubble and all the diehards were like, everything is great, everything is fine. Once Zion gets healthy, everything's going to be great. But like to the outside of how irrelevant this team can be to some people, or just how much of a failure of a joke of a franchise we can be seen to. Not that those other opinions outside of our New Orleans bubble matters, but it's good to have that perspective. So I appreciate you being a jerk, Chris. I really do. Like, because you get a lot. You probably and I tell you this all the time. I say that that's a good thing, though. Like, it means that you.
Yeah, but if I go full,
the most hated right now. You might also be top 5 of the most loved, but you are definitely the most hated columnist and reporter in the city of New Orleans when it comes to the Pelicans. But that's a good thing because that means you are keeping it real. And I don't sugarcoat it for anybody. Like, even if I didn't like your reporting, I would tell you. But I like your reporting, and if not that I'm a big deal, but if Mr. This Shit More Than the Game is saying that you are this shit more than the game certified, then you are this shit more than the game certified. Can we curse on here? Am I too late?
Yeah, you can.
Right.
Yeah.
If I just go full Draymond Green, rein me in a little bit. I mean, like I give you permission to just check me, be like, hey, look, this is a full Draymond.
You're
Don't do
asking the
this.
wrong one. I encourage it. So
I would check you if I thought it was crazy. But look, no, we talk about this all the time. Y'all both hit on it. Like, this is that microcosm, like the New Orleans bubble. If Zion would have, maybe gotten Lee's dream and went to New York, imagine what that mediascape would have done with him. It would not have been the same as this. So like, you got to have somebody turning the heat up when the heat needs to get turned up. And I've said that. Look, I don't call me media either. I'm here because I'm just a fan who's obsessed to disgusting degrees where I'm willing to record this any time, morning, noon, or night. But yeah, like it's the closest. We need more of that reality sometimes to get guys like to get those conversations had, because they're tough. We've had some brutal stuff. Like, I talk about how jealous I am of OKC all the time. They haven't had like a single ounce of what we've had over the course of the last decade. They have not had a drop of it. They just got this championship caliber team dropped in the city. They got to borrow ours for a little bit. Like, it just, it's been such a brutal franchise to grow up next to. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, keep turning the heat up. We'll let you know if you're being too much of an
now that's easier said for me and Adam, because we don't have to go in the actual media room and with those players, Christian. So I applaud you for that as well, because I'm sure sometimes there might be some tension, like when a player probably is just looking at, and I've seen it like not with you, but like with other reporters in the past. So I know that's not always the easiest thing. So again, humbly, like, I appreciate that you stand on your word and your opinions, and you don't just act like, oh, I got to be a PR avenue for the team so I can make sure I get these interviews or these scoops or anything like that. You keep it real, and that is always appreciated, even though, the loud minority is always on Twitter saying, Christian is against the team and he sucks and he's making this up and yada, yada, yada.
We all know Twitter is a fun tool, not real life at all. Yeah, I want DeJounte Murray and his all caps energy, and I want him to be a jerk, and I just want him to be the right kind of jerk, though. I mean, want to be the right kind of jerk. And I think that is ingredient maybe that the Pelicans have been missing. And I'm hoping it, him in here just pops a little bit. I guess we can finish up with some Olympic stuff here. I know I saw you tweeting about a bunch. I know you were locked in on it, Adam. I think you were pretty locked in on it. Why do you guys think the game just like had so much juice this year? Like, the viewership numbers were crazy. I mean, people just ate it up. Like I did. I loved it. Like, why do you guys think the Paris games just seem to have so much juice?
I think NBC did an amazing job with accessibility, where on NBC, on USA, I think it was on E! Network at one point, like, you can watch so many different of the games. And if you have Peacock, you can watch every single. They offered everyone an in-gatekeep newsflash streaming services and channels and media conglomerates. Like, accessibility is actually going to work in your favor. And that is why I think that it was just a huge success. It was probably my favorite Olympics that I've had in my lifetime. I thoroughly enjoyed watching sports that I never thought that I would watch. It was great. Shout out to NBC. I'm looking forward to 2028 in Los Angeles now. Maybe one day New Orleans will get it. I'm joking. I tweeted that as a joke, and now I got my mention still. Like people are having like legitimate conversations about it. I'm like, that's what happens though when my tweets go outside my bubble, like the jokey guy, but then people don't know who I am. So now we're like, well, our infrastructure cannot. No, you think? But
where are they going to park?
I think the accessibility that the network provided is what made this. Along with we had some legitimate storylines, the Noah Lyles versus NBA thing, which I thought was so silly. Simone Biles' greatness. You have we have the media landscape has changed so much now that we actually know a lot of these Olympians coming into the game. So we have a vested interest already. The accessibility allows us to get to know ones that we didn't know. I didn't know who Armand Duplantis was. He went to LSU, right? I didn't know who he was until the day of his world record break. Now I'm his biggest fan. Like stuff like that, I absolutely love. It would not be possible if NBC was not showcasing that throughout the day on all of their platforms. But now that we have that in 2024, I think that 2028, I mean, it could be even bigger than what it was this year. That's why I think it was a huge success for viewership. And New Orleans just loves sports. I don't know if y'all saw the data. We were the #1 market of all the major cities in the United States when it comes to watching the Olympics. We love sports. Like our city, for as small of a market as we are, man, boy, do we love us some sports, man. That's why I'm so confused why the NFL bent over backwards for LA in 2018 with that championship game. Like if they would have called that dang flag, I'm sure Christian was like, how is he going from that?
How did he get here?
Yeah, like, boy, New Orleans would have had them break records with that Super Bowl. Breeze against Brady, oh my goodness. We would have been the greatest Super Bowl of all time, the most watched Super Bowl of all time easily. But whatever, we got to make LA fans, sold on NFL as a New Orleans loves sports because it's shit more than a game.
Bill Vinovich did the last preseason game. Don't think I didn't think about it. No, so to the NBC thing, he hit the biggest thing. NBC just got everything right. They got the booths right. They got the production right. They got the accessibility right. Peacock was a phenomenal vessel for this. I exclusively watched it through Peacock, and let me tell you, for an event that big where you have like 2 or 3 events, you go into a day and you're like, I want to watch those. But then you have all the other stuff that happens. But you got your different times and stuff. They did a great job of telling you if you're watching something else. Like I've basically got Gold Zone on the whole time. I've got it on throughout the day, watching the equestrians and whatever's on, I'm watching it. And then they give me like a heads up, like, hey, USA basketball is about to play, or Serbia, Australia is about to kick off. And when that's going to happen, like I know exactly where to bump to. They've got 3 different ways for me to get to the content. I can go straight to the sport by type, or I can go to the little viewing thumbnail they gave me specifically for that game, or I can go to the coverage that takes me there. So they killed it. And we happen to get tons of drama. We got track and field gave us some wild finishes in so many races that it was just like, it was just good TV in addition to everything else. Like we had good storylines. We learned about people that we didn't know about. Women's rugby got in there and shows up and grabs a medal, and they grab it on the final play of the game with 3 seconds left on the clock, full length of the field. Like, come on, it gave us everything. It gave us absolutely everything. It was incredible. And I think they created a little bit of anticipation for the NBA coverage with NBC.
Yeah.
I thought their NBA coverage.
We lose inside the NBA. I saw Charles is staying with them, and he said that they're going to still do the show, which I don't know how they're going to still do it, but I'm excited about the NBA. It's kind of like that Avengers meme when she asked Thanos, well, what did it cost? And he says everything. Well, we got NBA on NBC back, but what did it cost? It cost us inside the NBA. But I'm excited, Adam, because when they were going on commercial throughout the USA basketball games, they would play the and I'm like, that music is just peak basketball that gets you excited about October.
You were a man with Noah Lyles opinions.
Yes.
How should I take him seriously?
No, those are serious. Those are serious.
How should I feel about Noah Lyles? Tell me how I should feel about Noah Lyles.
I have a prejudice, I guess, against like NBA, Twitter, NFL, Twitter. I'm always like, these are just like high school kids. So, especially when like the people with the music accounts or the people with player icons and they avatar. Like if they were, when they come at me or whenever one of my tweets blow up and you're not funny or you're stupid or whatever, I always kind of reply back. When do you go back to school? What's on the cafeteria menu for? Like, because it's always like high school kids or whatnot. So I just think, I mean, it was a story last year, a year and a half ago when he made the comment and the NBA players responded. But then I feel like NBA players were like, okay, you know, said our piece. He said his piece is over. And these NBA Twitter stan accounts just kept harping on it. And I'm like, shut the hell up. Like, seriously, guys. And then he won gold. He won gold. And he still got the jokes off when he didn't win gold the second competition. I'm like, that's like me getting my jokes off on Simone Biles because she went like 6 or 7 in all her competitions. Like he still is going home with a gold. You cannot get your jokes off about we don't play for bronze and all that when he has a gold medal. They're all world champions, NBA Twitter guys. They're all, and you know, if it's a high school kid that's making these jokes, a middle school guy, whatever, they're kids. I get it. I think now there's actually some grown men and women on NBA Twitter making these jokes, and I'm like, get a life. Yeah, that's 100% authentic, Jono Christian. That's not me blaming the character. Like I became a Noah Lyles fan because I enjoy when somebody talks the talk, backs it up, and there's an antagonist, I guess, in me a lot that I like the people who, you know, maybe are going against the grain, and for whatever reason, even though Noah Lyles proudly represented our country, him going against NBA Twitter was going against the grain. So I say, well, you got a fan of me, Noah, and that was actually my number one moment. I was watching that at brunch with my wife, and I'm in a restaurant, like go, like I was so excited. The drama, like 0.005 that he won by. You cannot script television like that. That's another reason why the Olympics like a perfect storm, like Adam said, like so many competitions, like where the drama was like by inches. A guy literally lost on a medal because his private part hit the stick like by inches. Like, come on. You cannot script television like that, man. It was awesome. And I'm glad Noah Lyles is a world champion that even though all these dumb jokes NBA Twitter accounts still continue to make, he's a world champion. He has a gold medal. Just like Anthony Davis does. Just like LeBron James does. Just like Steph Curry does. Noah Lyles also has a gold medal. So I know y'all were tweaking to get y'all jokes off, but they don't hit the same when the guy actually won a gold medal. That's like me making fun of Patrick Mahomes if the Chiefs losing the AFC championship this year. Oh, wow. Okay. Poor Pat Mahomes. He still has 3 championships. Like, give me a break.
And then he goes and gets third in the 200 with COVID. And then a few days later is just like in the club, like partying his balls off with COVID too. Like he just did everything in the Olympics. He had an experience.
I love it. I do love it.
Look, can I tell you how I am a Noah Lyles casual. I was aware of who he was. I knew he was an incredible track guy. I knew the 100 was like the far-fetched race. Like that's the other interesting thing here. He wins the race he wasn't supposed to win, and he comes in third in the one that he was probably the favorite in.
Right.
For me as a casual, I have no idea about the NBA statements prior to the game. So I only see it once Twitter starts like playing around with it. I'm like, okay, so they got a cute little feud. That's fun. But like you, I get a little flustered when I see somebody, when you create an underdog, when everybody starts getting into groupthink and you're like waiting to pounce on somebody, I automatically start rooting for that person.
Yep.
So come the time of the 100, I'm telling my wife, like, I can't wait for this to run. I hope he somehow pulls this out. Then when he does, we're like double taking, looking back and forth. Like, I can't bave he just did he really win that? Because we didn't think he won. Yep. Like I was right there with the commentary team. I did not. I thought he lost to Kashane from Jamaica. I never in a million years thought he got across the line first. So then I'm telling my wife the whole next day, you know, I want him to stunt so hard. I want him to set a goddamn world record in the 200. Like, let's just do it. Let's do it. But now here we are, several days removed, and this man is still talking. And he's denying some quotes that are out there about Anthony Edwards. And I'm just like, these new kids, I'm just never going to understand them. I'm too old for it. I'm cool with being like alternative and different. The Yu-Gi-Oh cards and the fingernail polish, all good with me. Don't say you didn't say and do stuff that you're quoted in the article as saying it and doing it. So like, don't do that.
There's nothing new. There's nothing new, kids, about that though. Like just denying that you were taken out of context or you didn't say that when you quoted. That's a tale as old as time, right there. You know,
just stand on it. Just stand on it and just keep being like. I'm totally fine. You just stand there like on the front of the Titanic being held by Leo. I'm here with my arguments and my anger, and I'm just gonna fight all of y'all. and he backed off a little bit, and it made me sad.
And if he double downs on it, it makes him more money. Like that's how you get notarized. So make your money, Noah. You going back to these, our beef with kids. The MJ meme, huh? F them kids. I always say Twitter should have like a thing where you have to display your age, because like, what do I look like getting into a sports debate about, is Drew Brees a top 10 quarterback with a kid who's 15 years old from Green Bay? Like, give me a break. So I think Twitter should have if Elon wants to win back some of my favor, you have to require your age so I can know who I'm dealing with. Like I've told this to many people before. I feel like a lot of the people who don't like you, Christian, or the BI avatar Twitter accounts, I guarantee you like 80% of them are in middle school and high school, like at the lunch table every day. You saw what Christian said about Brandon, man? That guy's an idiot. I'm like, Christian, that's why you don't need to respond to them. They in high school.
Drinking milk out of pouch.
Yeah. What time y'all go to recess, kids? Please. Is summer school over yet? That's what I tell them. I was like, go back to school, man. Dang, let the grown-ups talk.
Oh, man. All right. Last thing I got for y'all. I wrote a thing today basically being like, look, the 2028 team, LeBron, KD, Steph, they're all old. They're not going to be on anymore. There's going to be room for fresh blood. I feel like the Pelicans have 4 players who you could at least view as candidates to play for Team USA in 2028 in LA. Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Trey Murphy, and Herb Jones. 2 stars, 2 in the role player mode. I just want to ask you guys this. We'll finish up with this. Which one of those 4, if you had to bet on one of them right now to be on the 28 team, who would you bet on and why?
I don't think it's 4. Yeah, I'll go for it. I don't think it's 4. I think that's being extremely kind. I'm sorry. Yeah, BI is not a candidate. Trey Murphy is not. Maybe if Trey Murphy throws something in the next few years, but
he was at Team USA camp. He was there. He's working out with them.
I think it's being extremely, that's the difference between, the scout team. Like my guy Langston Gadaway was on that team, like there's a difference between that and being like, a top tier candidate. I don't think Trey Murphy and BI are close to that. I hope they prove me wrong, guys, but I don't think they're close to that. I think the 2 candidates are Zion and Herb. I'm going to go with I don't know if it's an underrated pick or an overrated pick at this point, because I feel like at this point it might become overrated. I think Herb Jones is actually, I'll go back to what I said earlier. One, he's our foundational player. If you ask me which player do I see on the team 5 years from now, I think it's Herb Jones. I think what he offers a team of superstar talent that needs those role players who are like the dirty ones, that does the Drew Holiday role, the Derek White role, the role that Devin Booker sacrificed to play on to make sure that, the stars got to do. I think Herb Jones gives them that. So because of Zion's injury history, I'm going to go with Herb Jones. I would love if Zion can just stay healthy, remind the world of who he is, remind the world of why he was the most hyped up prospect since LeBron James. He can easily be on the 2028 Team USA, but he has to show it. And until he does, my vote is going to go to Herb Jones. If it's a perfect world, we get both of them. But if you ask me to pick one to put money on, I'm putting my bet on Herb Jones.
Adam, who you got?
I'm going Zion. He turned the corner this summer. I've decided he's turned the corner this summer. He turned the corner starting back in December after he got embarrassed in the IST. Everything I have seen him do since then, including commitment to defense, including a commitment to rebounding, wanting to take the tough assignments, being the guy that's at the front of the tunnel. Even after he's hurt, he's on the sideline. He's smiling. He's in front of the tunnel. He's in good shape right now, based on pictures. We understand. But those games are 4 years away. I think he's turned the corner. I think by the time we get there, that dude will have been an all-NBA guy already. And this is we're joking about it by the time 28 rolls around. We're sitting here going like, he's already playing in, like, if they do FIBA or whatever, if he feels like it, he'd be selected there if he wants to, and then roll him into the 28 games with Ja. We get the Ja Zion Team USA. Yeah.
You guys know where that?
I got goosebumps from that, Adam. I'm excited.
Do you guys know where that 2027 World Cup is? The FIBA one, the year before the games in Los Angeles. It's in Qatar. You're gonna have to go to Qatar in August.
Oh no! How did they get another global event? Oh no!
Christian Carter maybe be on assignment from Qatar covering
No, I might visit it one day, but it will not be in August. It will not be in the month of August. That's for sure.
Oh, that's tough. Okay, I immediately regret Zion going to FIBA. I take it back. No one's going to FIBA. You will take whoever you get, and you will be thrilled about it. So, Jalen Johnson, you're up.
Trey Murphy, there you go. You were right. Christian, you're right.
Oh,
Christian,
no.
no. B.I.
Oh.
Trey Murphy. I get it.
I feel like, look, I think to me it's Zion, but I feel like you guys are sleeping on Trey Murphy a little bit. Look,
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
You asked me to pick one, and I picked one.
Convince me. I love Trey, but he hasn't
They-
shown enough.
the Team USA needed to shoot 16 of 32, 50% from three against Serbia to win by 3 points. They barely freaking won and shot the ball incredibly well. You just need shooting. Like the three, you could argue, is even more important with like the closer line in the international game. Like you just need shooting, and I'm just gonna bet on the best shooter.
I think Trey, for me, is too inconsistent to think that he's the 3-point answer for Team USA, much less us. I mean, I think it's still in
4 years from now.
Again,
We're just
start him. I
projecting.
want to start him. Like I want to see this kid reach his potential. He just hasn't shown me enough yet to think that he's going to be a Team USA candidate. If he does, I will gladly apologize. I love that kid. Like he has probably the most personality on the team. So I want him to be successful because he would be a great face of the franchise, a great face for the NBA, but he has to show it first. And he hasn't shown me enough to think that he's Team USA worthy.
First podcast where I am not the harshest critic of Trey.
Yeah, who would have thought, huh? Who would have thought?
That was not harsh criticism.
There goes my interview.
It's harsher than mine.
In the future. Sometimes, I had Eric McCoy on the show, right? At my house, like, which was cool. Like, I'm like, okay, that's like some, I don't say revolution. I don't want to pat myself too much on the back, but like, it shows what fandom can be in 2024. Me, a fan, has an NFL All-Pro center on my couch at my house. Like, that's pretty darn cool. And obviously, I would like to do more of that. So I kind of like after that, I'm like, okay, do I want to always be 100% like honest on my opinion on these players, knowing that one day I might be like, hey, we want to come on my show? But I feel like maybe even a bit of inspiration from Christian. Like you just gotta stand on your ground, stand on your opinions, and sometimes that actually, like you said, what Noah Lyles, Adam, like that gives you more prominence, that gives you more opportunity for these players to say, you know what, I will come on your show because I want to talk to you about when you say this or whatever. But at least you are 100% authentic instead of like always being a constant, hype man or a kiss butt guy. So not to say that, all these things I'm saying about Trey are like so sacrilegious. I just want him to prove it. And I think that he has the potential to, but he has to show me because I'm a Trey Murphy fan. So Trey Murphy, I'm a fan. Don't be mad at me. Come on my show. We can talk about it together.
This shit is definitely more than a game. This shit is definitely more than a drink. Go out to Blue Oak. Show some love. Show some support. Dude, thanks so much for doing this.
I am honored, you guys. Again, I love what you guys are doing. I'm humbled. I don't know why you guys asked little old me to be on this very professional show. Again, it's the 3 Dragon meme, right? Serious Dragon. And you got the jokester right there. But I'm very appreciative. And I hope we can do this again, guys, because I had a lot of fun with this.
Maybe next time I'll trash Eminem. I kept it off this one.
Now you're taking it too far. See these Rumble kids, bro. These Rumble kids. So let's end the show, man. You ruined it. It was a good 55 minutes up until that point. Good job, Adam.
That's all we got. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys again soon.